As a Nigerian living in the U.S. who knows about the bullshit that goes on in Nigeria, I'm going to let y'all in on a secret. This whole U.S. trying to come and save Christians in Nigeria is a scheme that Todd set up. It's a scheme. Are people being unalived? Yes. Are they Christian? A lot of them, yes. But this has nothing to do with religion. It's nothing to do with religion. This is a tribal war. There has been tribal wars going on since I was born. Okay, since my grandpapa was fighting the Biafran War. It's a tribal war. Okay? These people not getting unalive because of their religion. They're getting unalive because of the tribe that they're associated with. That's why in Nigeria, I forgot what day it was, what day it is. My mom told me, but I forgot what day. It's a day. Like, I think it's like Wednesday. You're not allowed to be on the street from certain time to a certain time. It's a rule. And they put that in as a rule because they realize that that's when the kidnappers and the murderers be roaming the streets for whatever reason. It's this specific day during these, like, they be around all the time, but this day and time, it's like they could taste the blood. So they said, shut the streets down. Nobody can be outside. Nobody. Now, a few days ago, there were some young girls that were taken from their school. They were kidnapped from their school. Because of what's going on in the media and the fact that Trump and the media keep pushing this narrative that Christians are being unalived in Nigeria, they automatically ran with the narrative that the girls that were stolen from the school were Christian, which is far from the truth. Because anybody who knows or can do a Google search knows that the city and the town that they were stolen from is a predominantly Islamic city and town. Them kids were wearing hijabs. They are Muslim. They are not Christian. They were Muslim. But again, throwing this narrative of, oh, the Christians are being unalived and the U.S. is a Christian a nation and da-da-da-da, feeds into the narrative of, or they're going to automatically say that the girls that were stolen was Christian because it feeds into their narrative when that's not the truth. Once again, this is a scheme that Todd set up. In actuality, the U.S. just wants a reason to go into Nigeria to steal their natural resources. That's what this all is. It's about taking the natural resources from Nigeria. And why Nigeria, might you ask? This is the key part of this story, right? The reason why they are targeting Nigeria is because, and I love my people. I love being Nigerian. I'm Nigerian to the day I die. Down, up, down. But I'm going to call a spade, and I'm going to call bullshit when it's bullshit. Nigerians in Nigeria, I don't know. It's like they're born to have a wiring that the U.S. is going to save them. And I don't know why they love Trump so much in Nigeria, because Trump ain't never going to do, never has done, never will do anything for them. So Nigeria is the best country to try to infiltrate because these folks love Trump. Them folk love Trump. Them folk threw a whole parade when he was elected. Them folk love Trump. They love him. I don't know why. I don't know why, bro. They love that man. Mind you, this man was calling Nigeria shithole country how many years ago? And probably still feels that same way. So when you position it as, oh, I'm trying to come save Nigeria, Nigeria's like, oh my gosh, yes, finally, what we knew was going to happen is happening. He's coming to save us. Whole time, he's going to throw the military in that joint. It's going to be a ploy and a distraction. They're going to steal y'all natural resources and make the country worse than what it was before. Because think about it. How long have we been saying free Sudan? How long have we been saying free Congo? How long have we been saying free Haiti? It's wars going on in all of these different predominantly black countries and on these continents. Baby, Haiti was the first free black nation, was it not? Why y'all not going to save Haitians? Jamaica just had a whole hurricane that pretty much wiped off half of the place. Why y'all ain't talking about Jamaica no more? Congo and Sudanese, they have been having crises for years. Why ain't nobody saving them? Because they don't proclaim their love for Trump in the U.S. like Nigeria does. They don't. I ain't never heard of no Sudanese folk talking about, yay, Donald Trump. I ain't never heard no Congolese folks talking, yay, Donald Trump. I ain't never heard no Haitians talking about, yay, Donald Trump. Shit, I ain't never heard no Jamaican talking about, yay, Donald Trump. But them Nigerians on that continent, They gonna go for him every time. So Nigeria is the perfect country to infiltrate because they already looking for the U.S., specifically Donald Trump, to save them. So in their minds, as long as the U.S. inhabits Nigeria, they're being saved. Whole time, y'all are actually being thrown further back into history, and this shit gonna go left. And that's why when people be like, oh, why you ain't going to Nigeria? Because what do I look like, bro? I'm not going over there. Because after the U.S. do the bullshit that they about to do in Nigeria, they're not coming to save my ass if I go over there. Or when I go, because I do plan on going back to Nigeria eventually. When I go back to Nigeria, I already told my daddy, I need heavy security. Heavy. I need every trained assassin to be, baby, when I'm driving on the street, you need to be running in the car. Like I'm Beyonce, running next to the car like I'm Beyonce. Because I remember when I was little, when I was younger, the last time I was in Nigeria, we was driving, I think we was going from my grandma's house in the city to the village. We were driving. Out of nowhere, somebody threw a tire in front of our car. It was like, I'm pretty sure it was like nighttime. Somebody threw a tire in front of our car. M rubbers. Now, thank God, they didn't come out the bushes. And my dad and my uncle jumped out the car, threw the tire out the way, and we sped off. But that's how easy it is. Like, that literally, it is that easy. You don't even see what them folks is hiding. You just throw the tire out. And they just come out with guns. We want all of y'all. It's that easy. Literally. And Nicki Minaj going to the UN, it's like, Nicki, you don't care about Nigerians. Like, you don't care. You're doing this for your own selfish gain. Folks are saying because she want her brother or her husband pardoned. And so, this is like, since she's a very, esteemed person. She's not esteemed, but she's like a famous person speaking on behalf of the U.S. will maybe make Trump pardon her peoples. And it might. It very well might. Trump do less for less. He pardon people for less. He pardoning folks he don't even know. If Nicki Minaj, go to the UN and say, free the Christians and we doing da. Trump very well might pardon her brother and her husband. But I want y'all to know it's not about saving Nigerian children. It's not about saving Nigeria. It's not about making Nigeria better or safer. It's not about ending shit. No, it's about going in there to get what they want, which is natural resources. And Nigeria is the perfect country to do it because these folks is literally opening the gates and saying, come in. Because I guarantee you go to the Congo with that bullshit, you go to Sudan with that bullshit, you go to Jamaica with that bullshit, you go to Haiti with that bullshit. They're going to be on the island throwing darts at y'all ships and blowing y'all shit up. I don't know if y'all heard of Black Hawk Down when the U.S. tried to invade Somalia and they put that work in. Somalia put that work in. Somalia said, don't come over here with that, but we don't need your help. We do not need your help. We will handle this on our own. And what happened? Endless U.S. military were unalive. Somalians, yeah, but baby, they was ready to fight. That's how the Congo finna be, Sudan finna be, Jamaica finna be, Haiti finna be. But you see Nigeria gonna open that gate and say, come in, come on, everybody, be coming. Yeah, be coming. And when they be coming, they gonna be coming, and then they gonna it up. And then you gonna ask your Nigerian family and friends in the U.S. to send you money to help fix the shit that you asked for. I'm not sending you, I don't have I'm not giving you a penny. I'm not giving you I'm not even sending you no leaves. Fuck out of here.
These people are mentally broken. They are done. You're about to see Nigerians in London praising Trump for bombing a homeland. Listen to this shit.
Lot of divide, because some people believe Nigeria is a sovereign country. Why do we need the intervention of America to have such a kind of operation? But I think on the other side, people are really divided, but I know it's for a good cause for President Trump to carry out the attack.
It's their right to get involved because they're not killing only Christian, they kill both Christian and Muslim. So we don't want them in that country. And if the care is not taken, the Mr. President should pay the price for that, yes? We need the support.
These people can't even conceptualize helping themselves. They're in the UK again, praising a white man for bombing on their shit. These people that come around us thinking that they're better, they come from this fucked up ass mindset. Listen.
Because, our military, the politicians, they're doing nothing there. So we need, international support.
We are not happy. We are not rest. So we need helping hands like UK, American to help us.
Everybody to live in peace. And if that peace is not coming from the government and the people who can handle it, with America and the UK, they must as well try to help us out.
This is the most coonish shit I've ever fucking seen. This is their mindset. This is why their homeland is never gonna get right. Because all they do is sit around hoping for the white man to fix shit. The same people that colonize their shit, they think gonna actually come in there and help them. And some of y'all FBAs, y'all brag with motherfuckers that have this kind of mindset, that come from these fucking cultures. Y'all brag with them. Wonder why your kids is weak, goofy in the fucking mind? Because you bred with this shit. This is some outrageous shit. This is some pitiful ass shit. These are the motherfuckers we gotta get the fuck away from us. What can you do with a motherfucker that thinks like this? Sitting around fleeing to other people's homelands, waiting for the white man to come save the fucking day. These motherfuckers. These people are over here thinking they're better than us. These people are on this app trying to matchmake with FBAs. And again, if you're goofy enough to breed with motherfuckers that come from this shit, you deserve your line to be up out of here. This is some fucked up ass shit. These people are gone. They done. They're about to colonize. They're about to get the 2.0 version of colonization because they all fled from out of there. The white man gonna come in and fix that shit. And all of them South Africans that ain't want to come over here, they gonna run right over to Nigeria. And they gonna fix that shit up because they don't want to go to places where black people don't take the bullshit. They want to go to places where people like this know their place. This shit. Motherfuckers that sit around praising motherfuckers that bomb their homeland. This shit is fucking crazy. Get these fucking people the hell away from us.
I am a Nigerian man, but there are two things that make me truly embarrassed of being Nigerian. The first thing is how white supremacist Nigerians are as a collective, and the second is how very comfortable Nigerians are with the current state of Nigeria, in spite of the fact that shit is fucked up in Nigeria. Now, I will give grace because I understand that we have a long way to go, and it's not easy being a black person in a white supremacist capitalistic world, so I will give grace because we as a black collective will still have ways to go. However, there are so many things that Nigerians can learn from black Americans. For example, did you know that once upon a time in the United States of America, black people were not considered humans? They were considered property. I don't think you understand. Like, black Americans who occupy America today, once upon a time, they were not considered human beings at all. Just imagine how fucked up that is, that their ancestors built America, yet they were considered less than humans. But guess what they did? They fought back. So in the 1800s, there was a civil war because some people wanted to make sure that black Americans remained properties. And in this civil war, more American soldiers died than any other war that American soldiers have died in combined. Let that sink in. Only because black Americans just wanted to be seen as humans. That's it. Black Americans were not asking for too much. They just wanted a space where they can survive. That's it. They understood that they couldn't go back to Africa because that tie is already broken. They couldn't go anywhere else because they don't know anywhere else but America. America is all they know. And in America, white still has power. They were not trying to fight or drag that power with white. They just wanted a safe space for them to raise their children and just do their own thing. However, with Nigerians do not fight the fuck shit in Nigeria because Nigerians believe that the white man's ice is colder. The average Nigerian does not believe in Nigeria, even though we like to pretend that we are proud to be Nigerian. Giant of Africa, all kinds of foo-foo shit. The average Nigerian is looking to leave Nigeria by fire, by force, to go to America, to go to Canada, to go to UK. Why is the average Nigerian trying to run to America? To enjoy the benefits that black American ancestors have fought and died for you, so that your black ass from Nigeria can be considered a human being, so that your children born on American soil will be considered American citizens with equal rights to whites, because you do not truly believe in Nigeria. That is the power of the audacity that came from them fighting back. Imagine if all Nigerians, both home and abroad, stopped looking at immigration as the solution and start fighting for what is truly ours in our home country with the exact same audacity or more. Hey, Father, just imagine what Nigeria would look like for us and our children yet to be born.
Like him, I love him.
You love Donald Trump? If I should be in America, I will vote him.
God is not done with Donald Trump.
A survey found that nearly 60% of Nigerians are pro-Trump. But as president, he reportedly referred to African nations as shithole countries.
Did you address his reported comments from earlier this year when he reportedly used vulgar language to describe African nations?
So the best thing for me is to keep quiet.
We didn't discuss it. And you do have some countries that are in very bad shape.
As the US election approaches, I wanted to find out why.
Very bold and confident.
A strong willed person, he knows what he wants, he stands by it and he goes for it.
I like the way he talks. I see that he has good plans for Americans.
Do you know he referred to African nations as shithole countries?
If he knew Africa, I'm not sure, in quotes, that statement would have been made.
Yes, I know he said that, but that doesn't really change my perception about him.
You said you admire him?
Yeah, I admire him.
To many Nigerians, however, Trump represents something more important: the defense of conservative Christian values.
In Nigeria, precisely, people like me, Donald Trump is our choice. Donald Trump has that very charisma to talk people into agreeing with what is right.
David Kingileo Elijah is a pastor who bills himself as the world's most accurate prophet. Staunchly pro-Trump, his predictions often involve the former president.
The prophecy that comes here for Donald Trump is always accurate.
But as November 5th approaches, what does the prophet foresee this time?
Well, the prophecy has already been given before now, that God is not done with Donald Trump. And that is why he needs me, the major prophet, to step in and talk to him into his ears.
In this culturally and religiously diverse nation, support for Trump is far from universal. A second term in office, though, would give many here a cause for celebration.
If you're wondering why I said I want Nigeria to be turned into Gaza, go check my last 2 or 3 uploads. In those videos, I uploaded a video. You can see a US congressman admit that the United States government has been funding Boko Haram. United States government, a fucking congressman came on and admitted that the United States government has been funding Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and Boko Haram. He admitted it. In that same video, I explained, this is what's going on in Nigeria. They created a problem, and now they're using public opinion to try and solve the problem. They created it. US government is behind this, meaning Nigerian Muslims, Nigerian Hausas have been killed more than Nigerian Christians. Again, this thing started in the north. Nigerian Muslims have been killed and are suffering more than Nigerian Christians. But in that video, even though I have provided evidence, there's literally a video of a congressman saying the United States government has been funding terrorism. You'll see Nigerians in that same video come in the comments talk about, oh, are you going to deny there's no killing of... It's not us. It's not Nigerians. It's foreigners paid by... So the thing is, if every evidence you have, you still don't want to see it because you dislike your fellow Nigerians, then you need to suffer. Nigeria needs to be destroyed. You need to understand what you want.
Number 2, when I travel, especially Africa, but it's true in the Caribbean also, Black people are more concerned with their tribe being in control than they are with liberation from foreign control. Are you following me? I've seen it. So when the elections is coming up, it's not about freeing us from white supremacy or Chinese imperialism. It's about, are my people going to be the president? Is somebody from my tribe going to be the prime minister? And because they're more concerned about tribal imperialism than African independence, this democratic scheme that they run on black people continues because we're so petty and so small in our thinking. I just want to make sure his people don't get the presidency. I'm not even looking at the bigger picture. The white man knows this. The Chinese know this. So they come in, exploit, finance both sides, so no matter who wins, they get all the resources.
So Marco Rubio has officially put in a petition or whatever the fuck it's called to reclassify Nigeria. Nigeria basically, or if it passes, if the resolution passes, then Nigeria is one resolution away from being a terrorist state. And once Nigeria becomes a terrorist state, the thing is, once this resolution passes, America legally, well, technically America can legally, from American perspective, not the global, but from America perspective, they can legally go to Nigeria to save the Christians. I made a video saying Nigeria is about to be turned to Gaza. They thought I was playing. Y'all seen Libya? Yes, I'm laughing because as much as it breaks my heart, I could always run to Kenya. I can literally use my American passport to move to Kenya. I could use my American passport to go to Ghana. I could use my American passport to go to a lot of places. I can also use my Nigerian passport to go to a bunch of places. But those of you who are in Nigeria with the Israeli flags and praising Charlie Kirk, they're coming to rescue you soon in Jesus' name.
My God. My God, Charlie. Charlie Kirk, oh my God. Oh no, my God. Why, oh God. Charlie doesn't deserve this. What is going on? What is going on? 31-year-old, beautiful wife, 2 children, now he's gone. This is evil. This is not acceptable. This is evil. Why? So we have become so divided in this country that people don't have political opinion. People have taken it upon themselves to kill anyone that speaks truth. Doesn't Charlie have the right to speak the truth, irrespective of the fact whether you agree on what he said or on what he believes? What kind of word is this?
Hey guys, so I've been a bit apprehensive to share this, but I prayed to the Lord about it and I feel like he really does want me to share this. So yesterday I did see a vision of Charlie Kirk in heaven and also persecuted Nigerian Christians who had obviously passed on to be with the Lord.
There's no way. What? Wait. I mean, I'm lost for words. First of all, I had no idea you guys dream about your white daddies. Is this a thing? Like, I didn't know this was possible. I didn't know you guys dream about your white daddies, bro. Of all the people in the world. I'm not judging. You dreamt about that guy? Has any of you dreamt about your white daddy before, and what was the circumstances? Because this is crazy.
Don't worry, Israel is coming to save you. By the way, read this comment. We Christians of Nigeria urgently need help from Israel and US. Christian villages are being wiped out. It's a real person. When I spoke, they said, oh, you're prejudiced. Almost every single comment I have seen inviting Israel and USA is from Igbo people. on my TikTok, on my Instagram. It's the same demographic. We Christians are, and I'm like, okay, your hatred of Hausa is what is going to kill you. Let me explain. Oh, actually, no need for explanation. The only thing I'm going to say is, for my mental health, this happened last week. For my mental health, I have actually started putting money, investing money in learning how to detach oneself. Because I have realized there's nothing that, like, if I'm being real, I've realized the black community cannot be saved. In America, black women are too far gone. In Africa, like, the black community cannot be saved. There's just too much shit. So I'm literally spending money to learn how to detach myself. Very soon, I kid you not, very soon, one of these days, y'all gonna wake up, my content is not the same. I'm tired. And I don't give a fuck what you say. If I was on some doctor, like, I don't make enough money from you to make this worth it. I don't make anything. So you cannot sit there and tell me, oh no, sit back, we're not going to do it. I don't give a shit. I honestly, I don't at this point. Let them come to Nigeria, let them turn it into Gaza. I have said it before, my family is fucking rich. No one in my family is going to suffer the consequences of this. If you didn't know this, in Nigeria right now, let me take this off so if you didn't know, in Nigeria, they don't do primaries for selecting people who are going to run in office. They don't do primaries. They have these people they call party chieftains, which is a bunch of powerful men who get to decide who runs for office or not. My father is one of the party chiefs of APC. Look this up. Anyone who wants to run under APC has to be approved by my dad. He's one of those. So Tinubu, you get where this is going. So at the end of the day, the truth is, if the Israel comes to Nigeria, I can assure you, if chances are my father will say, you get where this is going. No one in my family is going to suffer. Let them come. Let them save the Christians. No one in my family is going to suffer. I'm learning, trying to detach, and honestly, I need to look out for me. My mental health is very important. See, education is one of the most important things in this world that you can give anybody or your children, ever. That's why the people in power are making sure that the Nigeria's education system is as fucked up as possible. One of the things that I would absolutely thank my parents for is giving me access to some of the best education in this world. And unfortunately, it's your tax money that paid for it. But I was a very bad kid, first of all. Like, I went through 8 schools in 6 years. 8 schools in 6 years. A lot of them were expulsions. Anyone that knew me as a kid that sees me now would be like, yep, you grew up to be exactly who we thought you were going to be. But the reason I'm making this video is, if we understood, if we were awakened and we understood how geopolitics works, and we understand everything about the way this world works, we understand what Nigeria represents in Africa, what Nigeria represents to the rest of the world, the threat that would be Nigeria if Nigeria was a functioning society, then you would start to understand why the people we have in power were in power. You start to understand why people like Abacha were killed. You start to understand why you start to see some shit that makes sense. But let me explain this. So, everything in Nigeria is designed to fail. Nigeria as a country was designed to be a broken system. Because a successful Nigeria is a successful Africa. A successful Africa is a fucked up Europe. Look at France right now. So, basically, I was in Nigeria earlier this year in May, right? And I don't think I've ever been more frustrated in my life than I have. I've never seen a country like Nigeria before. I have never been every single thing about the system in Nigeria is designed to frustrate you. The reason for this is to ensure that there's no outside investment coming into Nigeria. Outside investment coming into Nigeria ensures quality of life for Nigeria. It ensures industrialization. For example, the governor of Georgia right now in America is in South Korea. This is his 3rd trip this month because he's trying to beg Hyundai to come back, because it's going to bring work and serious money to his state. Meanwhile, on the other hand, when Nigerians do these trips, it's to go to Dubai to go buy houses, to go shopping with their families and a bunch of shit. But let me explain. See, right now, the way the world works with global currency and everything, and the value of Nigerian currency, right now, Africa has right now the lowest earning class in the world. We have the lowest earning working class in the world. Do you understand what that means in a capitalist system? In a capitalist system, that means that every fucking company in this world that packed up and went to China because China was cheaper would be packing up to go to Nigeria because Nigeria is cheaper. Everyone would be moving to Africa, but what is the incentive right now to move to Africa? Well, for starters, not only do we not have steady power, the Nigerian government has gone to dismantle the power system, bringing it so much that the fucking the Aso Rock, the Nigerian fucking state house, is putting in solar panels. So that means anyone that's coming in to open up a factory in Nigeria has to account for bad energy sector, and has to account for generator, has to account for, at the end of the day, the cost of running that factory, the cost of running electricity is not worth it. So there's no reason to come. But see, that's the same thing that was done in China. Nigerian governors right now should be taking weekly pilgrimage. They should be taking weekly pilgrimages to China, convincing these factories, yes, my people in Benin, we have the cheapest, blah, 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 blah. Katsina, look, we have the climate is the same as Guangzhou. We have this, tax-free, this. But what exactly about the system is available for these people to be able to work? A governor in Nigeria, was it Port Harcourt or I can't remember, they had this whole strip that they were doing. Do you know what that would have done? That would have turned the south in Nigeria to, like, we would have started to write. We would have had our African South Beach. Do you know what that would have done for Dirty December? Everybody comes to Nigeria. They come Nigeria Dirty December. Do you know how many would be flying to Port Harcourt? An entire strip, that Lagos whatever express. Do you understand how much money that would have brought in? And then someone over here in the West ordered the governor, look, we'll give you $20 million to destroy that shit. We're the only people in this world that get a loan from the IMF that comes with no, what's the word I'm looking for? Oversight. Every fucking body in on this planet, when they get a loan from the IMF, it comes with oversight. Africans don't come with oversight, because they know the moment our leaders get that money, the first thing they're going to do is take 50% of it and throw in their personal bank accounts. Now, 6-7 generations of Nigerians are responsible for that debt. Let the Nigerians, what are they doing? What are they doing? First of all, okay, I blame the system. A lot of people are not educated because they don't know about this. The ones that know about it, what are they doing? Oh, I can't wait to leave this country. I can't wait to. They want to run away. Do you understand? Do you understand why right now we have Boko Haram in the north? Go look this up. In Katsina, Sokoto, Zamfara, go look this up. We have the purest gold. The purest gold. Let me put it in a way you should understand. Igbo merchants should be running Katsina. Yes, it's Katsina gold, but we know how business works. You know, the one that pisses me off the most is when people say Nigeria should have never been a country. That is the dumbest, most ignorant shit I ever heard in my life. Basically, you're saying the white man realizes I'm so stupid and I cannot live in peace with my neighbor that he just made us one. Let me show you something. The main ethnic groups in Singapore are Chinese, Malay, and Indian. 3 completely different people. Do you want to see what Singapore looks like? This is Singapore. This is Singapore. This is Singapore. 3 different people of 3 different cultures. 3 completely different people got together with a collective mind and built this, one of the most successful economies in the world right now. And you're telling me 3 of the same people that speak 3 different languages cannot live in peace, and the white man figured that out. You're so fucking stupid. Oh, Nigeria should have never been. Your father should have been a fucking blowjob. Piece of shit. God, I hate that shit. But we have this. I don't. The answer is there. The answer is there. The thing about it is, I don't trust anyone. I don't trust a lot of Nigerians, because people be like, why don't you come to I can come to Nigeria right now and say, all right, let's do what the fuck we need to do to make Nigeria better. But the thing is, I genuinely, right now, the way I feel like 90% of those people in my circle are waiting to sell me out. They'll be waiting to sell me out so that they can have an opportunity to join the system, so that now they can chop. Right now, it is October 31st. If I'm lying, may God punish me. If I come to Nigeria right now, all I have to do, you see this remove this, cut this. I swear to God, I swear on my mother's life, by January 1st, I have at least $2 million contract. I have that access. Why am I not doing it? Let me say this, man. If person can curse God, what I will curse God for is giving me empathy. The ability to see other people suffering and say, why? The inability to chop money and not feel bad. Why God? Because why do I say I'll curse God for it? Because the people that God has made me feel bad for apparently are not even worth feeling bad for. They don't even feel bad for themselves. If a man is not willing to help himself, if a man is not willing to fight for himself, you can never and you should never fight for him. What are you willing to do? Do you understand the significance and the value Nigeria holds in the international community? They know, Europeans know that a working Nigeria is a death sentence to the rest of the world. They know it. Everybody knows it, but the Nigerians.
Trump threatening military intervention of Nigeria is really about access to Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, the alliance of Sahel states. This is going to be an intervention on behalf of France. Ever since Niger nationalized its uranium assets, the same uranium that France was stealing to run its nuclear reactors to make itself a nuclear power, a superpower, Niger is asserting its own sovereignty over its natural resources, same as Burkina Faso, same as Mali, with its gold, Burkina Faso with its gold and other resources. So this is making NATO very nervous. Countries like Ivory Coast have expelled French troops from their country, Chad as well. Also, Senegal as well kicked out French troops. Remember, West Africa is where France gets all of its power from. Without total domination, subjugation, and sabotage of West African states, France has absolutely no power. It is toothless. Right now, 14 West and Central African countries use something called the CFA franc. It is a currency that is attached to the French franc at first and now the euro. And these 14 countries are required to pay half of their foreign exchange reserves paid back into the French treasury. And if these countries say no, also remember that Abuja in Nigeria is the seat of ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States. This is a regional economic bloc that seeks to put all of these West African states under the control of the African Union and, by extension, the European Union. That is why you will find that the people of Nigeria are the very last to benefit from the resources of Nigeria because of economic blocs that do not favor the prosperity of African people like ECOWAS. And so Bola Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, is very disgruntled that the alliance of Sahel states of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso want to exit ECOWAS, have actually exited from ECOWAS. They do not want to be under the yoke of imperialism any longer. So this is all about France losing its grip and viability as a world superpower. So America wants to intervene on its behalf.
See, a lot of Nigerians have no clue what she just explained. And some of you, maybe now when you get this information, you're likely to change your mind about how you feel. There are those, again, who know all of this and still don't care because of the type of hatred they have for their fellow man. We don't care. I've seen so many comments on my TikTok. I don't think, and I've checked like when I see one outrageous comment, I go check it to see if it's a real person or not. I've never been more scared for Nigeria. I've seen comment, burn it down. We don't care. It doesn't benefit us. The white people might as well benefit. Someone might as well benefit. Let them come and burn it down. We don't care. But see what you're doing, right? Like she explained. You see everything from here. Cameroon, Chad. You see all of this here. Niger, Mali, Mauritania. You see all of this here. Except for Nigeria and Ghana, France has everything. They pay France to print their money, their own currency, and then they pay France to keep it. The EU. So right now, these guys have cut off the French. 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 You see where this is going? Chad, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Senegal. So everything going from here, 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 here. France has lost access to all of that right now. That's why the French economy is in shambles right now, because France lived off of Africa, West Africa. So France doesn't have this anymore. And that currency, as people are leaving, Nigeria is trying to join BRICS. As people are leaving the currency system that we have, their money in Europe, the euro, is back there. You know, it depends on this currency from these people, all of these people, including Nigeria. So as we're becoming self-sustained, they're becoming powerless. They're becoming useless. If we let these guys, 1, 2, 3, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, if we let them become the nuclear powers that they're trying to become, they've already started. If we let them become the nuclear powers they're trying to become, it is over for Europe. If Nigeria right now has some type of coup, a benevolent dictator comes in, a revolution happens, something happens, and Nigeria joins the Sahel states, the next thing that will happen is Europe will take off the mask. They will take off, because now they will have to come in guns blazing, or in the next 10, 20 years, you'll see Europeans on the streets of Nigeria looking for work. You'll see Europeans on the streets of Mali and Niger as immigrants. You'll see on TV, you will see Nigerians going, we don't want this. You will see rallies. Immigration, get them out. We don't want them here. That's all. So right now, they know that. And so you see, all of the stuff that comes from here is controlled. It goes out to Europe through this country. Let me show you. You see this French billionaire? His name is Vincent Bolloré. He owns Canal Plus. And as of right now, he owns DSTV, MultiChoice. As of this moment, this white French man controls what every single African watch. A white man from France. So he gets to decide how we think as Africans. He, MultiChoice, DSTV, Canal Plus, every single cable network in Africa, he owns it. He decides what type of content Africans get to see. He decides what type of news Africans get to see. Besides that, you know why I showed you this guy? Vincent Bolloré's Africa Ports and Logistics subsidiary has been sold to Italian-Swiss company MSC Group for reportedly $5.7 billion. Vincent Bolloré sold that so that he can control the minds of Africans. He sold his company to buy MultiChoice and DSTV. But what does it do? Bolloré Group sold its Africa Ports and Logistics subsidiary to MSC in 2022. The subsidiary operated in 47 African countries and employed 20,000 people. That means when France takes all the resources they want from Chad, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, they take it through Ghana or Nigeria to a port owned and controlled by these people have their claws in every aspect of our lives, and we don't realize it. And they have strings. They control us. So my whole thing is, Africans, we need to wake up. We need to understand that everything is not what we think it is. So if you're from Mali, if you're from Niger, if you're from Burkina Faso, if you're from any of these three countries, the invasion of Nigeria should seriously concern you. It is Europe and America's way, France and America's way of taking your countries back from you. You took your country from them. They're using my country to go back into your country.
Heureusement, nous sommes au regret de constater que certains Africains ne se réveillent pas. Et ce que je veux dire n'est que ma pensée à moi, mon analyse, c'est qu'il y a quelque chose qui vient sur l'Afrique de l'Ouest que j'ai appelé l'hiver noir. L'hiver noir arrive. Il sera un hiver très froid, un hiver sanglant, un hiver meurtrier. Qu'adviendra-t-il donc du panafricanisme quand l'hiver viendra? L'hiver viendra parce que la guerre se transporte en Afrique de l'Ouest. Les impérialistes font tout pour mettre l'Afrique de l'Ouest à feu et à sang. Beaucoup de gens pourraient mourir. Nous allons nous entretuer de manière tellement atroce que pendant ce temps, ils seraient là à piller nos richesses, à imposer leur volonté. Et ceux qui vont survivre de cette tragédie n'auront que deux choix. Soit s'unir pour toujours contre l'impérialisme ou se résumer à être des esclaves jusqu'à disparaître.
You hear that sound? Oh, that's music to my ears. I love that sound. Other people don't like it. I love it, Josh. I think when I hear that sound, it reminds me of money.
There is one thing in Europe right now that nobody is talking about, but this thing can change a future wealth of Europe for the next couple of decades. So I will try to explain you. You know, now it's the war between Russia and Ukraine, and do you know what is the main problem with this war? This is not about gas, this is not about Ukrainian refugees, this is not about money that Europe is sending to Ukraine, and this is not about money that Ukraine will invest into military instead of investing in medicine or something else. This is not about these four things. The most dangerous thing is that Europe is destroying fundamentals of Europe at the moment. So the main, proposal from Europe to another world was, we will store your money. You can, if you are wealthy enough, bring your money to Europe, and you can invest, you can be safe, your money will be safe, we are protecting human rights, and etc, etc, etc. And what was happening? The most wealthiest people from all over the world trying to store their money in Europe, try to invest their money in Europe, try to buy some property in Europe. So all Russian oligarchs, not only Russian oligarchs, but all the wealthiest people of China, of all over the Africa, Arabian countries, all over the world, they was trying to buy something in Europe. They try to connect their money to the Europe, and you can't even imagine how big influence is this money brings to Europe. This is really not about Europe is producing for Europe. Oh, not really. And what happens right now? Right now, Europe say, okay, we can create sanctions not only for country, but for all citizens of this country. So if you are Russian in Europe, right now your bank account can be closed, you can be fired from the work, you can be, so many things can happen with you just because you was born in Russia. And this is not about Russian community. This is about that Europe right now
all over the Europe, they can choose some category. Today, this is a Russian people. Maybe after 10 years, it will be all Muslims, After 10 years, it could be, everybody with, any parameter you can choose. So if you can, do something bad to the people only because of who they are, where they was born, but not because of some criminal case, this is a very dangerous road. And again, elites all over the world, they are looking at this and say, okay, maybe Europe is not the best place for our money and our investment anymore. This is not a thing that will change everything tomorrow, but after 50 years, after 100 years, it can bring a huge difference.
The fundamental problem with it is that the European continent is bankrupt. It is resource light. It has virtually no natural resources. It required an empire to feed it on sweetheart terms with the energy that it needed, with the minerals, and with the wherewithal for an industrial life like Germany once had, like Britain once had. But shorn of that empire, and the days of European empire are long gone. There are still some hangovers dotted around the place, but by and large, the European days of empire are gone. We have nothing except our added value skills, academic skills, medical skills, skills in various high-tech fields. But we can't even make a computer. We can't even make a mobile phone without Bolivia. We can't make a computer without the DRC, the Congo. And the rising powers will simply not allow us to reconstitute ourselves as a European empire, assuming Britain, not a member of the EU, is regarded as being a part of that European empire. It will never fly. It will never go off the ground. It will be like the dodo, unable to fly, plump, and a very easy target for the new kids on the block.
There's a pattern that has destroyed every major empire in history. Not conquest, not invasion, not revolution. Economic collapse. Specifically, currency collapse. And it happens the exact same way every single time. Rome, the empire that ruled the known world for 5 centuries, collapsed when its currency became worthless. Spain, which controlled more gold and silver than any nation in history, went bankrupt repeatedly until its empire dissolved. Britain, which dominated global trade for 200 years, lost its empire within a decade after its currency collapsed. 4 times in recorded history, a dominant empire has followed this exact pattern. Military overextension, unsustainable spending, currency debasement or money printing, inflation, loss of confidence, collapse. And every time, the people in power believed they were different, that their empire was special, that the old rules didn't apply to them. They were wrong, every single time. And right now, in 2025, the United States is following that exact same pattern. Step by step, warning sign by warning sign. The only question is whether we're near the beginning, the middle, or the end. This is the story of how empires destroy themselves through their own currency. How it happened to Rome, Spain, and Britain, and why every warning sign says it's happening again. Let's start with Rome, the empire that dominated Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East for over 500 years. At its peak, Rome controlled 60 million people across 3 continents. Its military was unmatched. Its infrastructure was the most advanced on Earth. Its currency, the denarius, was trusted everywhere, from Britain to Egypt. The denarius was a silver coin introduced in 211 BC. It contained about 4.5 grams of pure silver. For centuries, it held its value because the Roman government maintained its purity. When you received a denarius, you knew exactly what you were getting. Pure silver, real value. This created trust, and trust allowed Rome to fund its expansion, pay its soldiers, and build its infrastructure. But empires are expensive. Every generation, Rome's borders expanded. Every expansion required more soldiers, more forts, more roads, more administration. And eventually, more money than Rome actually had. So they did what every empire does when it spends more than it earns. They debased the currency. Emperor Nero, ruling from 54 to 68 AD, was the first to significantly reduce the silver content of the denarius. He needed to fund his lavish lifestyle and expensive military campaigns, so he ordered the mints to reduce the silver content from 100% to 90%. That extra 10%, pure profit for the emperor. He could mint 11 coins with the silver that used to make 10, more coins in circulation. Same amount of silver, that's inflation. But 90% silver was still substantial. The real destruction came later. By the time Emperor Caracalla ruled in 211 AD, the denarius was down to 50% silver, half real value, half base metal. By 265 AD, under Emperor Gallienus, it had fallen to just 5% silver. A coin that was once pure silver was now 95% worthless metal with a thin coating. Think about what that means. If you were a Roman soldier in 265 AD receiving your pay in denarii, you were being paid in coins worth 1/20th of what soldiers earned 2 centuries earlier. The government told you nothing had changed. The coins still said denarius. They still had the emperor's face, but the purchasing power had collapsed. Prices exploded. What cost 1 denarius in 200 AD cost 50 denarii by 300 AD. Farmers stopped selling food for coins and demanded barter instead. Soldiers refused to fight unless paid in gold or goods. Tax collectors couldn't collect taxes because the currency was worthless. The entire economic system seized up. And here's the key. This wasn't caused by foreign invasion. Rome's borders were still defended. This wasn't caused by plague or natural disaster. This was self-inflicted. The Roman government destroyed its own currency to fund spending it couldn't afford. And when the currency died, the empire died with it. By 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire officially collapsed. Not because Germanic tribes were stronger, but because Rome couldn't pay its armies anymore, couldn't fund its administration, couldn't maintain its infrastructure. The currency had been debased into irrelevance, and everything built on that currency collapsed. The pattern: military expansion, unsustainable spending, currency debasement, inflation, loss of economic function, collapse. Rome proved the pattern, and every empire since has repeated it. Now let's jump forward 12 centuries. Spain, 1500s. The Spanish Empire is just beginning its golden age. Christopher Columbus has opened the New World. Hernán Cortés has conquered the Aztecs. Francisco Pizarro has conquered the Incas. And Spain now controls the richest territories on earth. In 1545, Spanish explorers discover the Cerro Rico mountain in Potosi, in what is now Bolivia. This isn't just a silver mine, it's the largest silver deposit ever discovered. For the next century, Potosi will produce nearly half of the world's silver, millions of pounds of it. Ships loaded with silver cross the Atlantic, filling Spanish coffers with wealth beyond imagination. Spain mints this silver into coins. The Spanish dollar becomes the first true global currency. It's used from Europe to Asia. It's trusted, it's pure, and there's an endless supply of it. Spain becomes the richest, most powerful empire on earth. At its peak, the Spanish Empire controls territories on every inhabited continent. The sun never sets on Spanish holdings. And then, exactly like Rome, they destroy themselves. Because there's a paradox with money. More money doesn't make you richer if everyone has more money. When Spain floods Europe with silver, prices rise. What cost 1 silver coin in 1500 costs 10 coins by 1600. The silver hasn't become less pure. There's just vastly more of it. That's inflation. Spain is importing so much silver that it's destroying the value of silver itself. And worse, Spain isn't producing anything. They're not building industries. They're not innovating. They're just extracting wealth from the colonies and spending it on wars, palaces, and luxury goods imported from other countries. The silver flows in from the Americas and flows right back out to France, England, and the Netherlands. To pay for goods, Spain doesn't produce itself. By the late 1500s, Spain's kings are drowning in debt. King Philip II, ruling from 1556 to 1598, inherits massive debt from his father, Charles I. 36 million ducats in debt. And rather than cut spending, Philip borrows more. He fights wars on multiple fronts against the Ottoman Empire, against Protestant rebels in the Netherlands, against England, and when the debt becomes unpayable, he defaults. In 1557, Philip II declares bankruptcy and suspends all debt payments. This is the first sovereign default in modern history, but it's not the last. Spain defaults again in 1560, again in 1575, again in 1596, 4 defaults in 40 years. Despite controlling half the world's silver production, Spain can't pay its debts. Each default destroys trust. Lenders refuse to lend to Spain. Interest rates on Spanish debt skyrocket. And the government responds by debasing the currency. They start minting coins with less silver. They introduce copper coins that are supposed to be worth as much as silver coins. Nobody believes it. The currency loses credibility. By the 1600s, Spain is in terminal decline. The military can't be funded. The colonies begin to break away. And when the 30 Years' War ends in 1648, Spain signs the Peace of Westphalia, which marks the beginning of the end. By 1700, the Spanish Empire is essentially over. The country that once controlled the world's wealth had spent and borrowed itself into irrelevance. The pattern again: massive wealth influx, government overspending, excessive borrowing, currency inflation, repeated defaults, loss of confidence, collapse. Spain proved that even endless resources can't save an empire from fiscal mismanagement. Now we come to Britain, the empire that lasted longer, stretched further, and controlled more wealth than Rome or Spain combined. At its peak in 1922, the British Empire governed 458 million people, 1/4 of the world's population, 1/4 of the world's land. The sun never set on the British Empire, not because they controlled every time zone, but because they controlled so much territory that it was always daytime somewhere under British rule. And the British pound sterling was the foundation of it all. For over 2 centuries, the pound was the world's reserve currency. Over 60% of global trade was invoiced in pounds. The gold standard anchored everything. 1 pound sterling could be exchanged for a fixed amount of gold. This created trust, stability, and power. But empires are built on credit, and credit has to be repaid. Britain funded its empire through borrowing, government bonds, debt to finance wars, colonies, infrastructure, administration. As long as the pound held its value, this worked. But then came World War I. In 1914, Britain's national debt was $650 million. By 1919, after 4 years of total war, it had exploded to over $7 billion. That's a 10-fold increase in 5 years. To fund the war, Britain had borrowed from everyone, from its own citizens, from the United States, from anyone who would lend. But the war also forced Britain off the gold standard. In 1914, when war broke out, the government suspended gold convertibility. They had to print money to fund the war effort, and they couldn't maintain gold backing while doing it. The pound became a fiat currency, backed by nothing but the government's promise. After the war, Britain tried to return to gold. In 1925, Winston Churchill, then Chancellor of the Exchequer, put Britain back on the gold standard at the pre-war exchange rate. This was a catastrophic mistake. The pound was overvalued. British exports became uncompetitive. Unemployment soared. And the government had to maintain high interest rates to defend the currency, which crushed economic growth. By 1931, Britain was forced off gold again, permanently this time. The pound was devalued, and trust in British currency began to erode. But the real destruction came after World War II. Britain entered World War II already deeply in debt. The war cost everything. By 1945, Britain's national debt had reached 270% of GDP. The empire had bankrupted itself to win the war. Entire cities were in ruins. The economy was shattered. And Britain owed massive debts to the United States. In 1944, while the war was still raging, the Bretton Woods Conference redesigned the global financial system. The British pound was officially replaced as the world's primary reserve currency. The US dollar took its place. Britain fought desperately to preserve the pound's status, but it was over. They had the debt, but not the gold or the economy, to back their currency anymore. What followed was a slow, humiliating decline. In 1947, Britain tried to make the pound convertible again. The experiment lasted 6 weeks before a run on the currency forced them to reimpose controls. In 1949, the pound was devalued by 30%. In 1967, it was devalued again. Each devaluation destroyed savings, crushed confidence, and signaled to the world that Britain was no longer a first-rate power. Meanwhile, the empire disintegrated. India gained independence in 1947. Egypt nationalized the Suez Canal in 1956, and Britain's military response was a humiliating failure. Colony after colony broke away, not because they were conquered by outside forces, but because Britain could no longer afford to maintain them. By the 1970s, Britain was on the verge of becoming a failed state. Inflation hit 25%. The government went begging to the IMF for a bailout. The pound, which had once been the world's reserve currency, was now a symbol of decline. The empire that controlled a quarter of the earth had lost it all within 30 years, not through military defeat, through currency collapse and debt. The pattern once more: war debt, currency debasement, loss of reserve status, devaluation, inflation, imperial collapse. Britain proved that even the strongest empire can fall within a single generation when its currency fails. Which brings us to now, the United States, the current empire, the current reserve currency, And every single warning sign that destroyed Rome, Spain, and Britain is flashing red. Let's start with the currency. The US dollar has been the world's reserve currency since 1944. After World War II, the Bretton Woods system made the dollar the global standard. It was backed by gold, $35 per ounce. Other nations pegged their currencies to the dollar, and the dollar was as good as gold, literally. But just like Rome, just like Britain, the United States started spending more than it had. The Vietnam War, the Great Society programs, military bases around the world. By the 1960s, foreign governments noticed that America was printing more dollars than it had gold to back them. France, under Charles de Gaulle, started demanding gold in exchange for dollars. Other nations followed. The gold was leaving Fort Knox. The bluff was being called. In 1971, President Nixon closed the gold window. No more gold backing. The dollar became a pure fiat currency, just like the debased Roman denarius, just like the pound after 1931, backed by nothing but trust and the government's promise. At first, it seemed fine. The petrodollar system established in the 1970s created artificial demand for dollars because oil was priced in dollars globally. But the spending never stopped. The debt kept growing. In 1980, U.S. national debt was $900 billion. By 2000, it was $5.6 trillion. By 2020, it was $27 trillion. Today, in 2025, it's over $36 trillion. That's a 40-fold increase in 45 years. And it's accelerating. But the debt is only part of the story. Like Rome debasing the denarius, like Spain flooding the world with silver, the United States is printing money. Since 2008, the Federal Reserve has created trillions of dollars from nothing, quantitative easing they call it, necessary to stabilize the economy. During COVID, they printed over $4 trillion in 2 years, more money created than in the previous century combined. And just like every empire before, they told us it wouldn't cause inflation, that modern economics had solved the old problems, that we were different. We're not. Inflation hit 9% in 2022. Real inflation, the prices you actually pay for food, housing, healthcare, is far higher. The dollar is being debased, slowly at first, but the pattern always accelerates. And just like Britain, the United States is losing reserve currency status. In 2000, over 70% of global reserves were held in dollars. Today, it's 58% and falling. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and new members, are actively building alternatives. They're trading in local currencies, creating new payment systems, reducing dollar dependence. China and Russia are buying gold aggressively. Central banks worldwide are diversifying out of dollars. The world is preparing for the dollar to lose its dominance, just like they prepared for the pound to fall. The pattern is unmistakable. And here's the most dangerous part. The United States has the same problem Rome had. Military overextension. The U.S. maintains nearly 800 military bases in over 70 countries. The defense budget is over $800 billion annually. Wars in Iraq and Afghanistan cost over $8 trillion. The empire is expensive. And it's being funded with debt and printed money. Just like Rome couldn't pay its legions in debased coins. Just like Spain couldn't fund its military after repeated defaults. Just like Britain couldn't maintain its empire after currency collapse. The United States is running out of time. So let's identify the pattern. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Every empire that has collapsed economically followed the same sequence. Not similar, identical. Stage 1, dominance. The empire is at its peak. Military strength, economic power, currency trust. Rome with the denarius, Spain with the dollar, Britain with the pound, America with the dollar. At this stage, the currency is backed by something real. Gold, silver, trust built over generations. The empire seems invincible. Stage 2, overextension. The empire expands beyond its means. More territory, more military commitments, more promises to citizens. Rome expanded across 3 continents. Spain tried to control every ocean. Britain colonized a quarter of the world. America maintains bases on every continent. The costs become unsustainable. Stage 3, deficit spending. The empire spends more than it earns. At first, this is manageable. They borrow, they issue bonds, they promise to repay, but the deficits become structural, permanent. Rome needed to pay its legions. Spain needed to fund its wars. Britain needed to finance 2 world wars. America runs trillion-dollar deficits annually, even during growth. Stage 4, currency debasement. The empire can't borrow enough, can't tax enough, so they debase the currency. Rome reduced silver in the denarius. Spain flooded the market with silver, causing inflation. Britain abandoned gold and devalued the pound twice. America left gold in 1971 and has been printing ever since. Stage 5, inflation. More currency with the same amount of real goods means prices rise. Rome saw prices increase 50-fold. Spain experienced price inflation across Europe. Britain saw 25% inflation in the 1970s. America is experiencing inflation now, despite government claims it's transitory. Stage 6, loss of confidence. The domestic population and foreign nations lose trust in the currency. Roman soldiers demanded payment in gold, not denarii. Spanish creditors refused to lend after multiple defaults. The world shifted from pounds to dollars at Bretton Woods. Today, nations are shifting away from the dollar. Stage 7, collapse. The economic system fails. The currency becomes worthless or loses its dominance. The empire can't fund its military, can't maintain control. Rome fell to Germanic tribes it could no longer pay to fight. Spain declined into irrelevance. Britain lost its empire within decades. And the US? That's the question we're living through right now. That's the pattern. 7 stages, repeated 4 times across 2,000 years. Different empires, different continents, different currencies, but the exact same sequence. Because the math doesn't change. You cannot spend more than you earn forever. You cannot print prosperity, and you cannot debase your currency without consequences. The pattern is absolute, and we're in stage 5, heading rapidly toward stage 6. So what happens next? History gives us 3 possible outcomes. First, controlled decline. Britain, after 1945, they lost the empire, lost reserve currency status, experienced painful devaluation and inflation. But the country didn't disappear. It adjusted to being a second-tier power. A slow, humiliating decline, but not total collapse. Second, chaotic collapse. Rome in the 5th century. The currency becomes worthless. The government loses control. The empire fragments. Dark ages follow. This is the worst-case scenario. Complete systemic breakdown, not just economic, but social and political. Third, reset and restructure. A new currency system is established, maybe backed by gold again, maybe a new reserve currency emerges, China's yuan, a basket of currencies. Digital currencies. The old system dies, but something new replaces it relatively quickly. Painful, but survivable. The United States is at the crossroads. The debt cannot be repaid, not at current levels, not with current spending. The only options are default, inflation, or restructuring. Default would destroy dollar hegemony instantly. Inflation is already happening and will likely accelerate. Restructuring requires political will that doesn't currently exist. And here's what makes this different from Rome, Spain, or Britain. Those were regional empires. The US dollar is the global reserve currency. When the Roman denarius collapsed, it affected the Roman Empire. When the dollar collapses, it affects the entire world. Every central bank, every trade agreement, every financial market. The interconnected global economy amplifies both the impact and the chaos. But the pattern says it's coming. Not because of prediction, because of precedent. 4 empires, 4 currency collapses, 4 identical sequences. The math of empire is unforgiving. You can delay it, you can deny it, but you cannot avoid it. Rome debased its currency to pay its legions. The denarius died, the empire fell. Spain flooded the world with silver. Inflation destroyed its wealth. The empire declined. Britain borrowed to fight 2 world wars. The pound collapsed. The empire dissolved. And now the United States prints trillions, runs endless deficits, and believes it's different. It's not different. The pattern doesn't care about American exceptionalism. It doesn't care about military strength or technological advancement. The pattern is economic, and economic laws are as absolute as physical laws. You cannot print wealth, you cannot borrow forever, and you cannot debase your currency without destroying your empire. 4 empires, 4 collapses, 4 identical patterns. The only question left is timing. How long until stage 6? How long until the world loses confidence in the dollar? How long until the American empire follows Rome, Spain, and Britain into the history books? The pattern says we're close. The debt says we're close. The money printing says we're close. And history, which has watched this exact sequence destroy 4 empires before, says the ending is inevitable. The only variable is how fast it happens and how painful it is. If this gave you a new perspective, subscribe. Because when the pattern completes, you'll want to understand what happened and why. History has the answers, and the pattern never lies.